Tonight on That's What I'm Talking About, the legendary Harry Belafonte.
Is this the end? This wasn't how I saw it.
Award-winning actress, Diahann Carroll.
Paul, write that down and sign it.
Contributing editor for Rolling Stone magazine and BET correspondent, Torre.
You know what real courage would have been if the Broccoli family had allowed the new Bond to be black.
And the always outspoken comedian, Paul Mooney.
I've got a great idea for a daytime TV show.
Which is?
Good Morning, Black America. And it will come on at noon.
Okay. We'll be talking films, television, and news. The greats, dates, and debates of black media. I'm Wayne Brady here, and welcome to That's What I'm Talking About.
Things aren't as they seem. Now y'all must have thought that was funny. Places, please. Take one. Cut. This is the stuff that changes people. That's what I'm talking about.
Hello, Wayne Brady here, and welcome to That's What I'm Talking About. Thank you folks so much for being here. The first thing that I'm going to throw out on the table is black or African American. Which one do you prefer, or should we even prefer
If we're
one
going
or
to
the
deal
other?
in truths, what I put down for race is stolen African.
Do you?
But don't forget nigger, the new nigger, that word that my generation embraces and loves.
Yeah, but then there's people who hate it because of what they experience with it, and it conjures up demons. So.
Yeah.
Well, when we grew up, they used to, you know,
what is
Harry
your
and I have been
color?
around for a long time,
Yeah.
and used to say, as you were applying
Speak
for
for
you,
yourself.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Speak for yourself. They said color?
It asks for your color on your application for your driver's license, something. So I always wrote plaid. But I do believe that we must never get so involved in this conversation that we could just understand that that's a sort of camouflage. It's sort of to distract us from things that are important, like money. So why are we sitting here talking about, call me green. It's my favorite.
No other group has been in a search for title. Nobody else.
That's why it's idiotic.
Nobody else somewhere along the line was called
It's so
colored,
idiotic for
Negro, black, African American, and then something else. And we call ourselves African Americans, and yet the truth of the matter is that most black people in America know very little about Africa.
How did we get to Africa with a C? Because it was originally with a K.
Yeah, I mean, but it's it's all, well, I'm confused. Where's the doctor?
Now I just wanted to throw out the African American and black thing just to see where we were coming from on that. So now we're going to move into TV. We're starting with the media. This is a list of our most influential black TV shows. Now I just put this list together. It's my top 10 list plus 2, so it's 12. At number 12, I have the Richard Pryor Show.
Whoa. You already made a mistake. How could that be so low? How could you already mad?
Wait a second. How can you remember me?
12.
This is not number.
It's got to be in the top 3 at
I
least.
understand 12.
Can I just finish?
You're too young.
I've
You don't
seen every
understand
episode.
But you let
Me
this
too.
man speak on.
Can I just
please.
finish?
12 is good.
This is great. You're about to give me a black eye.
12 is good.
Put the pressure. I leave.
Why got to be a black guy, though?
You smack.
Don't make a fuss till you hear what number 11 is.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, that's my number 12. That's my number 12. And number 11, the Flip Wilson Show. Love Flip Wilson.
I work with that.
10,
You're talking
Roots.
turkey.
Roots. I love Roots. The Jeffersons. Good Times. Julia.
Oh, yeah.
And that wasn't done just because she's right here and she's gorgeous.
that was
It's
great.
true.
The check is in the mail.
Thank you so much. The Cosby Show. Rock. ROC.
Okay.
The Arsenio Hall Show. I Spy. In Living Color.
Yeah, I was on. Yep, that's me.
And The Chappelle Show.
Oh, that's me.
Okay, guys, I
Okay.
stand by
So,
my
that's my
critique
list.
before. How is Richard Pryor 12th out of that list?
Now,
got to be in the top 3.
first off, culturally, I would place The Richard Pryor Show and The Chappelle Show as bookends. Pryor's show made NBC so nervous. Rarely has a network been so wigged out.
The network wasn't really frightened. They loved it because they had a life. Those execs, they were like zombies. When Richard came on, now they had a life. They could make decisions. They could get on the phone. They could order you around. We can't do that. The censorship. They suddenly become alive. Before Richard, they were zombies. They were the Walking Dead. It was like when I was back in the day when I was a kid, and there were no blacks in commercials. And we used to sit around and they run by real fast and go, that was somebody black? You guys don't understand that we used to wait. Like this man here, we worshiped this man because we were males and we wanted to. When I went to the movies, I wanted to see me.
But every black woman, we worshiped this man.
Well, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, my mother.
We had never seen anything like him before.
Now you tell me.
Yeah, now they tell me.
Where were you then?
Where were you back then? Yeah. But anyway, no, wait.
ago.
This was an image for us. You have to remember that we went to the movies. We saw John Wayne. We saw all these white men.
Yes.
But to get involved, I have to feel like I'm actually in the movie. When I see him in the movies.
I'm very happy that you said that because, well, I've thought about this for years. I guess we've all thought of it because I thought for a long period of time that I was obligated to see any piece of property that involved black people. And the time came in my life when I said, wait a minute, should I still hold on to this sense of responsibility that I'm there and shelling out because it's a black project? And I think it was an enormous dilemma for me, but I would say in the long run, I really started looking for quality.
So you felt the need to always commit yourself, whether it was as a viewer or as an actress, that I've got to get behind these black things because it's black and I've got to be there for black.
But still, being black carries a responsibility. I don't care what you tell yourself, what denial, whatever you do. We were watching Dynasty, and people liked it. It was very popular, so popular during the day. I mean, during the night. When you came on, it changed it. Do you understand? Now suddenly there was somebody that was beautiful. Yes. There was someone who was wealthy. There was someone that would kick your behind.
Right.
You know.
Well, let me explain something to you. When we were putting that together, they were kind enough to come to me to ask, how should we put this character together? And I said I would like to be a part of who this character is because I know the whole thing is fluff. And we're all there to have a good time and wear pretty clothes. But I would really like very much for you to write Dominique Devereaux exactly the same as you would write for a white male. I want her to be totally ruthless, absolutely no humanity.
I didn't thank you for your present.
And I want her to have no feelings about being a mother. If you do that,
white males are like that.
Well, that's what.
But the beauty,
especially the feeling about being a mother part.
My manager told me to say that.
But the beauty was also that she was wealthy, and with the Cosby Show again, that they were wealthy, and so there was this aspirational.
But they
aspect
were all about one thing, and that was the business, the money. It was all about the money.
And they were treacherous too.
Yes, they were.
Yeah, they were.
And I didn't want them to feel because they were bringing a black person into the show that I all of a sudden had to be this wonderful human being.
Yeah.
When you came into Dynasty, you crushed walls simply by being there. Why, if you get to a certain place as a black actor or as a sports figure, why all of a sudden can you just not say, I've reached the mountain, but you then need to pick up the entire neighborhood and say, come on, I'm taking you with me? Well, why do you have to do that?
You feel the response. The lineage is so clear. I would not have made it on CNN if you had not broken down the barriers decades before. And I can see you. I grew up watching you. I know. And even more than that, what Jackie Robinson did before that. And even before that, what Harriet Tubman did. There's a very clear lineage that we talked about in my home with my parents. So I know that there are all these people who pushed the rock up the hill, and now I get to be at the top of the hill because they did a lot of that legwork before me.
When you just said, why must we, once we have established ourselves as being present, why do we have the responsibility to have to bring everything else with us? I think you have that responsibility in part because that's how you got where you are. Somebody brought something into the room when they got where they were. And there are expectations with that access to power, access to debate, access to bringing something to the table that didn't exist before you. I grew up my whole early life looking at people who played plantation blacks, who played house slaves, who played buffoons, who had to poke out their lips and bug their eyes. What I never saw was A. LeVar Burton and that physiognomy, saying something about struggle, saying something about aspiration, saying something about who they were and where
Being
they
moved
came
from the background into the forefront.
And
That's
with
what I
content
think
and with
shocked
something
you.
to
You think so?
You were not prepared
Well,
for this man to be in the
the phone
forefront.
calls from white friends every day when it was on.
Well, you
crying
mustn't
and
have white
apologizing.
friends.
It was
I've told you about that.
I'm so glad that we moved into that area.
Wait, is that your professional advice to us?
Folks, stick around. We'll be right back after this.
Coming up next.
Now watching MTV is like watching BET.
I don't know if you folks know this, but a large percentage of the daytime television audience is black.
I've got a great idea for a daytime TV show.
Which is?
Good Morning, Black America. And it will come on at noon.
Okay. Just in time to get up.
I don't get up at noon.
Daytime TV, it's all about Oprah. She's the #1 queen of all time.
Oprah is a kingdom unto herself, which I want to throw it out for debate. That is a good thing, and that is a bad thing.
Well, but we've seen Oprah through, say, 3 generations of daytime TV. And it went from, it was semi-dignified when she started, then it became completely a circus, the Springer era, from Donahue to Springer, and now it's back, Springer is old now it's back to more confessional, a little more dignified. Oprah has remained a dignified television presence.
Yes, she has.
For all this time. That's amazing.
I love Oprah. I love her because she tricked white people. That's why I love her.
How she tricked white people?
Because she came out as Aunt Jemima with a degree. And she cried and she honey child and she, Lord have mercy. They gave her $1 billion and she turned into Dorothy Dandridge right before their eyes.
Yeah.
She's thin. They thought they had a colored girl.
Oh, write that down and sign it.
They thought they had a colored girl. And she said, no, I'm a cover girl. I'll be on the cover of the magazine.
No, she's fine now.
I love her. That's why I love her. I love Oprah. I'm sorry.
But I think the whole point of the thing is, in daytime, with such a large percentage, there's so much revenue generated because of that. You would think that we would have more of a presence in the daytime.
Let me just say one thing about that observation. Why isn't there more being pitched to that demographic? And I think that somewhere, those who sit down and study market moves, study where people are, study who spends, there is a...
Don't say spends and look in my direction.
Well,
sorry.
I always speak to my right. But the point is that if those same forces felt that somewhere in midday television there was something to be extracted that spelled profit for them, black would not interfere with the choice.
Well, we're certainly seeing that with the reality show era. I mean, you know, Being Bobby Brown, Run's House, there's tons of, and whatever you think of them, there's tons of black reality shows now.
But on niche markets, though, I mean, MTV is huge, but it's MTV.
Well, let's talk about MTV. They didn't want blacks on.
The first 4 years.
Yeah, they didn't want blacks. And they didn't even want Michael Jackson. He's whiter than all of them.
Michael had to fight to get his
But
videos
I'm saying that.
on.
They didn't want him. I'm saying he's whiter than all of them.
Yeah.
They didn't even want him on, okay?
Yeah.
And it's interesting to watch because now watching MTV is like watching BET.
That's right.
Which is almost black television. And so...
ABET.
Yeah.
Well, it's a new day. It's a new day at BET right now. Come on now.
Yeah, don't be naive. Anyway, I just want us as a black people, for me, to represent us on all phases, on the news, on everything. You know,
Right.
we do things we die in, we sit in till we're not in, and then everyone else. Women get their part. I'm talking about white women. They get their part because of us, how we suffer. A white woman should kiss a black man every time she sees him, because without us, they'd have nothing.
Well, it's also about how gay people have used the template of the black civil rights struggle to work their struggle.
But
and
everyone
it's
has
also the
done
black power
that.
struggle.
But everyone has done that.
Why is that still so?
Huh?
Why is that
I think it's
still
because of the
so?
black male. It's something about us. That's why we can't catch a cab. It's something about us.
Are you saying that
It's
the
sexual,
fear
yes,
that James
yes.
Baldwin said is
It's a sexual,
always
it is the fear.
The
is
fear,
still there.
but also the fascination with black
and
men.
fascination,
There's
that's
both
exactly what it
those
is.
things,
Yes, it
and
is.
often at the same time.
Yes, I know that's true, and I know Harry knows that's true too. He's frightened them to death, and yet they couldn't take their eyes off. They
Right.
wanted, his presence.
Coming up next.
What if you and Sydney and you had said, I have to coon it up too?
Before there was any such thing as a Mason or an elk, we were black. Before there was any such thing as a Jew or a Christian, we were black people.
We were talking about, black and entertainment and whatnot. What about the trend of trying to make the black versions of something that exists, just so we have some sort of ownership over it? Recently, we had a remake, The Black Honeymooners. Was that movie version, any better?
No, once it's done and it's white, it's done. And even as whiteness redone, like The Postman Rings Twice, once it's done, it's done. It's a done deal. It's like The Wiz. White people got very upset over that. You were getting in waters, shark-infested waters. They worshipped that.
Don't remake The Wiz.
The
Wiz.
The Wizard of Oz. The Wiz they didn't like.
Yeah.
Really?
They didn't like. But you're stepping on holy ground.
Yeah.
You were messing with Julie Garland.
We did it better,
It's
though.
done.
We did it better. Just the same way
Well,
John
didn't do
Coltrane
anything.
made
But
My
in the-
Favorite
but
Things
in the
better.
movies, it didn't do anything.
No, but
No,
I still,
but you
I'll
had
still
to
watch
see
it
it on
tonight.
But I have to ask, did you enjoy it?
The parts of it, there's a lot of parts I didn't. I was too hooked up on Julie Garland.
Oh,
I'd been
no.
brainwashed already.
Oh, I love that movie, though.
I'd been brainwashed. Come on.
I love the movie.
I kept looking for
Love the
Julie Garland.
soundtrack.
If you have a work that is so distinctive
Right.
and has such a powerful DNA, to attempt to remake it, whether you make it with white people or black people, if you do not live up to some standard of why you say it is that you want to remake that, you're doomed to some tragic conclusion.
That's exactly
I
it.
didn't like The Wiz. And
You
it
didn't
wasn't
like The
because
Wiz.
black people were doing it.
That's exactly
I didn't like The Wiz because it was a badly made movie off of a classic. Why remake it unless you got something better?
That is
I love hearing that.
I guess I'm the only one, and I,
What,
used to
you
being a
loved it?
minority, so that's
Yeah.
what I
You loved
loved
it?
The
Okay, well,
Wiz.
this-
I love the music.
How old
I was
are
gonna say it was the music.
34.
It was the
Loved
music.
Michael
It was the
Jackson.
music. I understand.
Loved the rhythm of it. I mean, they really did find a black way of really attacking some of those things that they did in The Wizard of Oz. I
I
thought it was
love
really
the
good.
music.
Attacking
with
Were
you.
what
you making
things?
comparisons when you saw The Wiz to The Wizard of Oz?
Sure.
When you saw The Wiz
Because
to
you had
what you've
seen-
seen in The Wizard of
But
Oz?
it's not so much a comparison, but in
I
your
don't know
mind,
if The
you are
Wizard of
following
Oz
the
might have
parallels, not a
gone
comparison.
Come on, the white people show The Wizard of Oz every year. Was September 7th every single year? You must watch The Wizard of Oz. At least when I was growing up, every year they played it. And then when I finally saw The Wiz, oh my God, this is so much fun.
What is it? They're remaking King Kong again. What, fourth, fifth time?
Which doesn't make it a good movie.
Look, no, I'm saying they remake it. They're obsessed with remaking King Kong.
So why do you
chasing
think
white
that
lady.
is
Because
so?
it's chasing that white lady. That's why.
Of course it
But-
is.
But
And you don't have to say it that quickly.
But I want
it
them-
has to
I
do
want them
with
to
our
read-
American
But I want them to redo
culture,
it now because
sexuality.
because white people are real black now. I want
White people are real black. Paul, don't go
I want
so
a
fast. I
ghetto
really-
Fay Raid. I want her to chase the gorilla back to the
Oh, yeah.
island.
You know what I really wanted?
Get your hands off me.
You know what real courage would have been if the Broccoli family had allowed the new Bond to be black.
What?
Now that would have been fun
You
and
want
exciting.
white people
Now
to,
I
wait,
will go
You want
to
a black
see.
James Bond? White people will
Yes.
cut their wrists all over America. You don't want to commit suicide.
Now, what's so wrong with
What are we
that?
going to call it? Black Bond Bond? Like, yeah, please, come on.
Now, it's got to be pretty hard for movie actors like this. Take a look. Hattie McDaniel, Butterfly McQueen, Stephen Fetchit, Bill Bojangles Robinson, Billy Buckwheat Thomas, Eddie Rochester Anderson. Now, those are guys who, as soon as I say their names and we're looking at the pictures, it brings a certain connotation because we know that they had to operate within a certain time period. Now, there are folks that I've heard say, well, you know, that dude was a sellout, and they were the sellouts of their day.
But let's just establish
But
one
they were
thing.
actors.
They were brilliant.
actors. They were brilliant.
absolutely
They were brilliant.
I'm going to tell you
They
why.
were.
Because they had to act for real. They deserved Academy Awards.
Intelligent men, very intelligent women.
Because they put on this buffoonery, they put on this act, they knew what those white people wanted. At that time, it was overt. Now it's covert. You know, you're a nigger when you leave the room. But then you were that right to your face, because it was a control factor.
Well, they took the period of time and they controlled it.
They took lemon and they made lemonades.
Yes.
They did what they had to do the work.
But they forwarded the stereotypes.
But it's not. But it was at that time.
I think he's saying that they did not have a choice.
I said they had to feed their families, even when they were porters. They could speak 5 different languages.
But wasn't Oscar Michaud working at that same time?
Would you like to listen to the radio?
I'd rather listen to you, Nina.
Making films where there were some dignified roles. I've seen some of them, and he does have some toms, but for the purpose of saying, this person's a tom.
But Andy on the radio was white, just like Eminem. Nothing's changed. Then when it came on television, these were black performers. And they had gotten Amsterdam from going to the Apollo and watching black people, to steal, to take. And black people, I'd rather see black people acting black and buffoonery and doing things that black people do than see white people doing it. It's like with the rap and all that. I don't like it. I'm offended by it. I don't like it. It makes me want to start hanging black people again. Then I'll find out who's white.
But we have to admit that many of those performances that we saw we'll never forget them.
What those performances?
Oh,
the eyes?
My heavens.
Oh, no. I practiced with the eyes sometimes myself.
Unbelievable. And,
no, they weren't
and for them to work a full day of whatever indignity
and
on
I think
the
without
set
them,
and with people
I think without them opening those doors for them to accept blacks in a way that we wanted to be accepted, I don't think this man would have got accepted when he came in. If we weren't there to do that, somebody has to open that door. Whether we open it with Yaza or
what if
yes, open the door.
And Sydney and you had said, I have to coon it up too.
I coon it up back in those times.
Where would we be now?
Yeah.
I mean, that you guys stepped up and said, I'm going to be strong and dignified.
I think the time in which we lived, there was a universal readiness for the kind of change, the kind of upheaval that came along with our era. We weren't just defined by those leading men and those really remarkable looking women that graced the screen. We were also connected to a lot of things that were going on socially in our day. Right. Africa was in great turmoil. Nobody wanted to return back to the colonial formula after having fought in the Second World War, which many of us did because we were told that that war was for democracy, that war was to end white supremacy, it was to end all of those inequities. And at the end of that war, we came back with expectations. I came back with expectations. Sidney came back with expectations. James Earl Jones came. So when the doors that we knocked at gave the slightest indication that they were ready to open, we marched in and brought those expectations with us.
As a black entertainer, at some point, there's some level of minstrelsy, and it's either the tap dancing or the black monster figure. You have to do one of those two things.
Somewhere in between. Well, didn't Hattie McDaniel say she would rather play a maid than be one? Mm-hmm. Didn't she say that?
Right. But where are the courageous people that said, I will not do those stereotypes, I will not play those? Where are they?
Let me ask you a question that sees comparatives. Would you say that aspect of the hip-hop culture, which now puts black men out with chains around their neck, defiling black women and going to a debased place for cultural expression, has any comparison with those who made the choice to play the buffoons of that era before? Do you find that there is another...
Great question.
Do you find that there's another...
I knew I loved you more. Great question.
Yeah, absolutely. There is something, what I talked about, the minstrelsy and wanting to play that black buck, figure, that nigger, ignorant, like we are reveling in that, absolutely.
Well, don't you find that as offensive?
Well, no, because it stands in contrast to the weak Negro that we saw from the 50s, that like the men that we just saw. It stands in stark contrast. We're not taking anything. Now, it's an ignorant figure at the same time, reveling in his exploits in the street.
So you say as long
not
as we're
necessarily
violent,
right.
we can suspend our morals.
No, not at all. But also, part of the hip hop generation has many problems with the men's relationship with women, right? But large part of that is because many of our fathers not mine, but many of our fathers, abandon us. We grow up without a father in the home.
Okay,
how do we relate to women? We don't even know.
But I actually think that the whole hip-hop, all of this, is a backlash from the civil rights movement and from the movement. We never followed that through. We were supposed to be free, and this dream never came true. And I think the kids are defying, they're angry about it. That we didn't make it the way it should be.
There is that. We marched, we got hosed, we got bit by dogs, and where are we?
I just think that
I think those slick white people up in the boardroom iced us again.
Yeah, I can believe that too.
And put something on the table that was so seductive and so hard to resist. Look, when I hung out up in the South Bronx with Africa Bambaataa and Melly Mel and watched the dawning of the hip-hop culture, it brought to me a profound sense of a wonderful thing that was in our future. This was an articulation that was just absolutely stunning.
Yeah, and then it came
all of a sudden one day somebody came up and jingled 30 pieces of silver. And all of a sudden many began and that institution of rape and profiting stepped in and corrupted and turned that thing into another being.
Now, I must ask you, are you saying that the white music community understood that there was a place for this music, and they directed these young black people?
Not the white music community, the white banking community.
I don't even know if it's the power structure that directed it, much as the understructure, right? The teenagers who mostly buy the music said, hey, we like that black buck. We like the guy who's claiming to be shooting everybody.
No abstract. It's how you were marketed. It's how your brain was washed. The market is dictated by those who want the market to go where they take it. And we follow. And it's always been that way. White people, black people, we go to war. We are in Iraq because it's marketed that way. And we are struggling with our souls to try to find an answer for something that is absolutely immoral, and we don't know how to grapple with it because we have bought into that. And I think that we have to face that fact and then deal with it from that perspective. Black people and white people don't go and just abstractly buy things that demonize them because they want it. They're propped up for it. They're prepared for it. They're instructed towards it. And everything locks in on it. And I think that that is America.
All right, see, now we're getting into it. So stay with us. Don't go away.
Coming up next.
I watched Malcolm go from where Malcolm was to what Malcolm became.
Is our leader.
1 million black men.
Are black people informed enough about what's going on in the world?
I mean, I think in general as Americans, even after 9/11, our concern, our thoughtfulness about the rest of the world does not really exist. We think about what happens in America, and then, you know, if the Negroes riot in Paris for 7 days, then we start to pay attention. But for the most part, we only pay attention to what happens. But that's not racial. That is, all of America is so just American-centric.
And I just think it's not enough action.
Yes.
I think that's the problem.
I agree with that.
I will accept that there's not enough action.
Not enough action.
As a positive and an important critique. But I have to tell you, not enough action is not just at the doorstep of black America.
Oh, I know that.
Or brown America.
Yeah, I know.
I think it's an American flaw.
Now, they march on Washington. Now, the March on Washington was one of the most significant events in black, white. It was just an American thing. It was American history. Malcolm X called it the farce on Washington. And I'm going to direct it over here.
I watched Malcolm go from where Malcolm was to what Malcolm became. And there was a decided shift from where he started in his passion to where he, at the time when his life was ended. The same exact thing with Dr. King. Dr. King's steeped relationship to his ministry and the religion from which he emerged was decidedly more militant, by the time he came to the time when he was taken away from us. The March on Washington was black-driven experience that changed all of America to make America become closer to the dream that we say we want this nation to be.
Another thing that we'd like to bring up right here, remember the silent protest at the Olympics. Now, there are two important lessons here. I was just thinking. One, you have to have the courage of your convictions. And two, to have that, you have to be a winner. Because if they would have come in fourth, no one would have cared, because they would have been doing that off the sidelines.
But also working the media, a powerful visual statement.
It was powerful.
I love that. That's like Jesse running when Hitler was there. What's his name?
Jesse Owens.
Yeah, running. I love all that. That's that black kind of drama I love.
Drama is exactly working the media, making a powerful visual statement. Black fist, not go out and do an interview.
Right, just stand there.
Powerfully.
Yes, sir.
This picture has just displayed a metaphor that you have alluded to by saying they could never have had any significant impact if they had not been at the top.
Exactly.
That is precisely why just being an actor is not enough. If you're at the top of the game, you have the capacity to make an impact. And the question is, have you...
That's her version of the black fist.
And you had you had the nerve to get up and dance?
I'm sorry.
That could get you shipped overseas.
But I think that when black people achieve, as any person from minority, when a Jew achieves, there is an expectation from the tribe that somehow you got where you are because somebody paid the price to get you there. And that when you do get where you have access and a voice and the capacity to influence, that you would somewhere in that power use aspects of it or portions of it to reach back into the plantation and reach back into the suffering of our group and lift it up.
I completely agree with you.
It's what you do with power.
It's what you do with power, exactly.
And how do you apply it? Would it make any difference to you if at some point you saw Denzel Washington striking that pose? What would it mean if he did?
It would be polarizing. It'd be great.
But wait, but all this is, I mean, this is a black power salute, right?
Absolutely.
And when Denzel won the Oscar,
when
he won the Oscar and gestured to Sydney, and that to me was the same thing in Hollywood as this, that continuity, black power, we are together, I see you, you're part of my struggle, I'll carry forward, somebody is coming next.
It was absolutely beautiful. It was a lovely moment in our history.
Absolutely.
I was happy that the motion picture industry had produced that moment finally for themselves.
I'm going to flash some more pictures, and then I just want to get your take on it. The Million Man March. One of the things about the Million Man March is, depending on how you felt about it, if this Million Man March was happening, some other black men might look at you like you were crazy if you weren't there.
No, only 1 million people could go.
And that was it. I didn't make it.
I was there.
And 2, so you couldn't go.
No, but I was there. I had an amazing day. I'll never forget.
I went last year. I couldn't go this year.
That I went. It made me feel great. But as time goes on, I'm like, it had little to no impact.
Why did we do it?
Well, you don't think it was something that was even a solidarity issue?
No, you're asking yourself.
But no change.
Did you feel something that, as you thought of it?
In that last moment when we're all a million plus standing there, black men holding hands. I mean,
it's great.
You ever hold hands with 2 black men you don't know? I mean, like, no, that never happened.
No, but it's great to get 1 million black people in one place at one time. I like that.
But nothing has happened. It didn't change anything. Nothing has come of it. You know, I mean, at least the March on Washington, they could look and say, look, that had a huge impact. Moment. But, you know, ultimately, it's just a day. It's just like, you know, we had a great party. You know, does a party ever change anything? No.
The fact that we all got together at one place and did that, even the victory in that is that there were 1 million, which you are one of them, brothers walking around with a great memory of that solidarity.
It is wonderful to see each other.
It's a good thing.
I think it's wonderful to see each other.
I think the Million Man March demonstrated, and it was not required to go beyond that, demonstrated that there was a large active constituency in this country that saw value in the kind of militancy that is very rarely expressed in their behalf. And I think that with Farrakhan and what was said, he didn't talk about burning down he didn't talk about burning down the nation. He said, let us rise up and let them know that we exist and that we have a sense of responsibility for family. All the things that were not being said were reflected at that moment. It was not created in order to have an ongoing agenda. I think the second one, which just took place, was the Million More Peoples coming together, was the first time that this movement and this grouping started to put things on an agenda for activism and for future application.
Do you agree then, you know, that when Kanye West made a statement that I know a lot of folks freaked out.
That George didn't like black people?
Care about black people.
He was saying that Bush and the government didn't care about black people, and that's why no one was moving.
They took a survey
during Katrina.
They took a survey, and they said that 98% of white people in America say Bush does like black people. It's us that don't like them. I went to the airport, and they said we're on orange alert. They say that out loud. I go, good. I'm on white alert, and I'm not getting off it.
We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. We'll be right back.
As we go to break, please.
Coming up next.
We are a product of the segregationist era, and you are not.
Hey, folks, welcome back to That's What I'm Talking About. Before we go any further, you know, Mr. Belafonte and I were talking off camera, and there was something that you wanted to say that pertains to this discussion that we were having now, and I thought it was really fascinating.
I think there's a line that keeps crossing itself that has yet to be really defined in the national dialogue, and that is those of us who sit out of the segregationist, the legal segregationist experience, and how we had to make choices. But those of you who sit here who are really the children of the post-segregationist period, who has a whole other level and a whole other set of realities in which to draw your experiences and to make your choices. And I think that how we look at each other, how we talk to one another when you talk about the past and try to project certain things for the future and what exists in the present is something that I think would be a wonderful exercise to continue. And I think some of the times the contentiousness or the clashes that we find ourselves with is that we have not understood our continuity. We've not understood our linkage.
Which one of the biggest clashes is we were also talking about, you know, the word nigger and nigga and that, and the generation thinking, well, you can't use that word because it's this, and the younger people saying, well, no, I'm going to use it because it's ours and I've embraced it and it means something completely different.
And it represents to me, the growth, how we have taken this tool of oppression, flipped it, and now it's a symbol of love. It's something that we say, that I can say around a bunch of white people, and they cower, right? They're like, oh my God, you know, just as long as I don't say it, but he can say it. I love that.
Because there's a power to it.
Love that.
Are you saying that to be able to say nigga in front of white people?
No, but I prefer to say it with black people.
And they accept it, or is a sign of your liberation? What do you say?
It's a freedom.
I think it is a representation of how far we've come, and that word is taken from their mouths, now it's in our mouths.
The moment Harry said to me, you know, we are a product of the segregationist era, and you are not. And there is no way for us, I don't believe, I don't know that the day will ever come, that I want to say nigger,
you just said
in front of someone and that they are comfortable, or I make them laugh, or kite, or spick, or any of those things, because I am from another time.
Right.
And all of those have a connotation to me
very wounding.
That is very ugly. And it is not about the humanity that I have been through $80 million and 80 million years of analysis in order to find my own center, so that I knew the real meaning and who it is that was saying that to me, and my compassion could turn around and I could say, poor guy, if that's the only thing they can see when they see me.
We can help each other. It's like when you said the show, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, I hear it, and it wasn't black enough for me. I want you to, you know, when you hear it, we hear it, you know, when we hear people say that, how do we hear it?
What's it in? Now that's what I'm talking about. See, but to me, that if I had to open, especially on TV land, because I know that there are executives going, God, I hope he says it like that. Hey, folks, welcome back. That's what I'm talking about.
And do the little shake with the hand.
That's what I want.
Followed by, that's my mama.
What you talking about, Willis?
At 11 o'clock, that's it, baby.
That's what I want to hear.
Where's That's My Nigga? That comes out at 12.
That's my nigga. And welcome, and now the President George Bush is, I guess you would never see that. You'd never see that, folks. You know what? That has to conclude our meeting. I'm so happy that we got a chance to talk, and I'll hold your hand anytime, man. Hold your hand.
So this is,
We'd be like five of us.
This is
just
the
hang out.
end? It's over?
This is it. It's the end of the party.
Well, this was like sex. This was real quick.
Would you like a cigarette, darling?
Yes, sir.
This wasn't how I saw it.
How'd you see it? I want to thank all of our guests, and we are going to keep on discussing as we leave you folks. I want to say thank you so much, thank you so much, thank you, and we'll see you later.
It was wonderful to be with you.
In my circle, I have to spend the next 2 years explaining you. Guess who came to dinner?
That's what I'm talking about.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's my nigga.